Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I'm your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. I did want to take a chance to shout out my last episode, episode 234 with Buff Metal Justin. On that episode, Buff Metal Justin came on to talk about getting into creating content and music centered around metal music specifically and kind of why he does it, and came on with all the face paint like Kiss, and it was just a really fun time to have him on the podcast and just see him kind of being himself and sharing his like passion for his music and why he likes it, and just kind of authentically being yourself and expressing that in ways that might be different and leaning into that difference. So you can check that episode out on the carolconnection.simplecast.com. Also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch your podcast, go on YouTube, search the Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll, and it should pop up for you. If you want to be a guest or return as guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at the Carroll Connection. We'll set that up. As well as I'm going to plug the 5 Pillars of Creating Meaningful Life. It's only available on Amazon. If you buy the book and you really enjoy it, submit the review on Amazon. It's going to go a long way in the algorithm for me. So that brings me to today's episode, episode 235, bringing a guest back from episode 146, Tyler Valerio.
What's going on?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back on the podcast. And I've been watching the growth on social media and watching your journey with everything you've gone through with your mental health. And I've been eagerly waiting for you to come back on the podcast and kind of talk about stuff, but I also been respecting kind of what you've been going through lately, and like wanted to let that kind of play itself out, go through your journey and see kind of where you are. And I think today we're going to have a really great conversation on what you've been going through and just a lot of mental health related stuff. And obviously this is a platform where I heavily lean on that type of stuff. And since you've already been on previously, we don't have to go through all like, who are you and what do you do? Like we can kind of just start getting into stuff. But since that episode was back in 2023, we're going to start off with kind of, how about you catch some of the people up who have watched that episode, and maybe also, I guess we might have some new listeners based on what's been going on social media. So kind of let people who let them know who you are, and then also catch me up and the rest of our audience on what's been happening since 2023.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna dive right into it.
Yeah.
So 2023, I had an afro. I was a vet tech, and then I was just going through it, right? Just doing life. And I got sober in December of 2021. So when we spoke, I was, I'd say, newly, sober, away from drugs, alcohol. And I was just kind of going through life. I found myself at a point where a couple of years ago, being a vet tech isn't a financially rewarding job. It's a emotionally rewarding job. I'm able to make a living, but it's nothing special. It's nothing to get the cows running home. So I tried my hand at electrical. I had a good buddy from Seaconco. I grew up best man in each other's weddings. He worked for a electrical company, low voltage. So electrical being security systems, fire alarm, those are all under 50 volts, whatever it may be. He worked for the company, and he knew I wanted to make more money, and I was considering making a change, leaving the vet field. And I went and I started doing electrical, completely different from what I was used to. I was waking up at 4 a.m. I was tying up my work boots, like just blue collar. Like totally has not been my life. I always worked in animal hospitals with primarily women. So it was new. And then shortly after I started doing that with my buddy, 2 months in, he left. And it was to go work for a family business. So I couldn't fault him. He still got my foot in the door. He still helped me get in there. But things were changing a little bit. So I kind of transitioned roles when I was working for the company, being out in the field. Just I need structure. I can't wake up. And I was up in Boston, New Hampshire. Like Monday, I could be in New Hampshire and have to leave my house at 4 a.m. Tuesday, I could be in Lowell and have to leave my house at 5:15. Wednesday, I could be in Stoughton and have to leave my house at 6:30. So like the structure was lacking. It was just wasn't my thing. So I started working in the warehouse, and this kind of this is kind of going to open up our conversation for this episode. But I started working in the warehouse, and I went on a bachelor party this past summer, and it was my first bachelor party ever really not drinking, not smoking. Um, yeah, I was terrified. You know what I mean? I'm going away with my buddies, and it's like, I know all of them have my back and wouldn't want me to do those things, but it's still like I was putting myself in a situation I wasn't prepared for. Um, and I brought myself a hefty bag of psilocybin, and I was still using psilocybin. I always used it for, even when I stopped drinking and doing drugs, for my mental health, my mental well-being. I would trip per se, and the next couple weeks I would have like a more regulated mood. And I'm bipolar, so a regulated mood is like everything and anything to me. And I went away on this bachelor party and I brought a lot, and part of me felt really crappy about I felt like the addict in me got the best of me because I just kept eating and eating and eating. Um, to the point where I was down by, New Hampshire. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of property we had. You walk down, you're in the river. The White Mountains are in the background. There was a fire pit on the beach. It was just like, it was unreal. And I was down by that river, and that was really like my last true moment of sanity at the time. Because when I walked back to the house, I went into psychosis. Um, for those of you who don't know what psychosis is, I don't know if I know the definition, but it's a psychotic episode. Um, it can it can vary greatly in everybody's experience with it. But what I was experiencing was I had to call my wife. I had to FaceTime my wife, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get arrested." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I can't get up to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna pee the bed at the Airbnb, and I'm gonna go to jail." And she's like, "You can get up and pee." And in that moment, I couldn't. I didn't know up from down. I didn't know right from wrong. I didn't know real from dream. It was complete and utter unawareness of my surroundings. And my friends were there and they were checking on me, and I kind of snapped out of it a little bit. And that night I went out and sat by the fire pit, and I went home, and then I went back to work for the electrical company. And I was driving one day and I drove by a cop, and look in the rear view and I'm like, is that cop coming after me? Um, I thought that the cop knew I was having a psychotic episode. Um, and I thought that's why he was coming after me. And that's when things started going downhill, because I didn't just have the bit of psychosis immediately after consuming these substances. Like, now I'm 5 days post consumption, and I'm having a hard time differentiating reality from what's not real. And it just, it went downhill real fast. And I locked myself in my apartment. My wife was in Florida for work, and I lost my job because wasn't going to work. I talked to my wife, my father, my therapist, and my psychiatrist. And that was it for like 2 weeks. That was the only people I communicated with because I was just full blown paranoia. Thought I was getting arrested, thought people were coming after me. Um, I had, I like to stir the pot online sometimes and leave some comments and this and that. And do you watch wrestling?
I don't.
Okay, so there's this guy Shiloh, who is a wrestler, Shiloh WWE or whatever. But he's big into the dark web, and he found this website called like the Shoeman, where you would buy shoes that were essentially the shoes of a victim, and they had expired in those shoes. He got these shoes. There was a tracker in them. He didn't know where they were coming from. More shoes started showing up at his house without him ordering them. So I left a comment and I said, yeah, I gotta unfollow. I was like, this is way too crazy for me. And that comment got a ton of traction. And it had kind of been of greater knowledge that the Schumann was in these comment sections because he was following everything that was going on in real time with this guy. The only reasonable answer was that he was watching all of this play out online and feeding into it more and more. So I legitimately thought this, I don't even know if it's real or not. It's the dark web. I mean, you can't, I legitimately thought the Schumann was after me. I got off social media. I got a VPN for my phone, started like making emails that couldn't be traced. Like, yeah, I was like full blown. People are after me. And so I lost my job. It was about 6 weeks of psychosis before I really like kind of came back to myself. And I decided it's time to go back and work with animals. Like, what am I doing? Why did I try and change careers? Like, I wasn't happy. I missed animals. I missed being a vet tech. And I started working at an animal hospital that I still work at. But right around this time, I got back into work. Um, I don't know if it was the psilocybin that pushed it out of me, or the psychosis itself, or the uncomfortability of being out of my norm. But I sat my wife down and I sat my parents down, and I'm pretty public about this now, but I opened up for the first time about being sexually abused as a kid, and they were shocked. My wife essentially had told me, I don't know how else I can help you. She was like, I'm trying. I don't know what else I can do. And yeah, I was just really suicidal, and that psychotic episode just kind of spiraled me. And yeah, it was either kind of go down one road, or this thing that's been eating me for 20 plus years. I just say it. I had never told a soul. I mean, this happened from the ages of like 8 to 10, and I'm now 34. And it wasn't until this past September I just opened up about it. So, uh, long time. And it seemed like when I opened up about it, things just got worse. And, and I was having intense suicidal ideation. And I mean, if you want to chime in,
No, yeah.
I'm just,
I think I appreciate you for giving the backstory too, and obviously we're going to
yeah,
keep going with it because we're catching up on a lot of this stuff. And I think it paints a real honest, true picture of like true mental health,
Yeah.
like crisis.
Yeah.
Like, and I think opening up about something like sexual abuse
Yeah.
to people that you care about for the first time
Yeah.
is very difficult.
Yeah.
Like, obviously on yourself and also the people hearing this.
Yeah.
Like, I can I can understand the difficulty in trying to process that,
Yeah.
hearing that for someone that you care about, like
Yeah.
that you had to go through something like that and like not knowing how to help.
Yeah.
But at the same time, from like an outsider's perspective, it really does feel like they've been there and supported
Yeah.
you through
Oh,
the stuff that you've gone through since then. And like
100%.
obviously the downwards initially make sense as well of like getting that out because like you suppressed it for so long
Yeah.
because of the fear of that.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, initially I could totally understand the fear of being like, well, I should have kept that. Like I shouldn't have said that. This is
Yep.
just worse. And then hyper fixating on suicide.
Yeah.
Like I've talked to a couple people on the podcast openly about like the way that suicide is talked about in society, in the way that it's stigmatized and demonized. And I understand why it's demonized, but it shouldn't be so taboo that we just don't talk about it
Yeah.
because it happens. It's
Yeah.
real. Like it
Right.
happens to a lot of people and a lot of people's families where
Right.
it's either attempts or
Mhm.
actual attempts that go all the way and
Mhm.
unfortunately people pass away. Like this type of stuff affects people in so many real ways that we shy away from talking about the realness of it,
Yeah.
of terms of the actual victims and then the people that loved that victim as
Yeah.
well. And it's there's two parts to that too, but I've always struggled with the concept of like when you can't talk about it, of like trying to understand why someone would do that. Like
Yeah.
that's something that I've had stuff in my own life where people will, why would someone want to do that? Like
Yeah.
why would they want to leave everything behind? Well, when you have no other options,
Yeah.
at least when you're internalizing it that way, and it truly feels like there's no other options. You've tried all your medications, you've tried all these different therapies, you've gone to different doctors, and like whether people want to acknowledge it or not, a lot of the medication and the mental health diagnosis that we have is just fucking throwing darts at a board and
Yeah.
hoping something works.
Yep.
They haven't truly narrowed down a specific science, and if they have, we would have had people cured essentially
Yeah.
of these illnesses, and people aren't.
Yeah.
And that always rubbed me the wrong way though, is people like, I don't understand. Like, how could you not? It's almost a privilege to not understand why someone
Yeah.
wouldn't want that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. To
When
not
why
have those thoughts
Yeah.
is, if you can't understand it, you're blessed.
Yeah, it's a good thing to not understand that in some facets, some instances, because like those places are extremely dark and scary. Like it's a last resort. Like that, people typically don't want to leave.
No.
Like you don't want to do that. That's not like the default. Like so when you get to those places where you think that the world is better without you, like that's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage to get out of those places and a lot of support from others. It's not just a one person thing. And typically it's not the medication that gets it out. It's I believe it's the care from the people around that person
Yeah.
to help them, uplift them out of that place because like they're in that place by themselves. So sometimes it takes someone to go into the darkness with them to get them out of that place. And like that's something that I've really resonated with is sometimes you have to go down there with them. Like
Yeah.
you have to go down there and understand like and it's going to be uncomfortable to
Yeah.
understand those places cuz like if you're coming from a place where you have that privilege of not understanding, trying to understand is going to be extremely difficult and dark and scary
Yeah.
and very like unflattering. You don't want to be in that space initially, but when it's someone you care about and you love them and you don't want them to go, and it isn't just a fucking social media post where you're
Yep.
just like saying it like,
Yep.
"Oh, it's better that you're here than not."
Yeah.
Like until you've been in those situations with people, like you got to really understand like it's going to be scary. Like it's
Yeah.
going to take more than just words. Like
Yeah.
it's this actions behind that. And it's not just a one day thing. It's weeks when you're talking about psychosis. Like anyone that's experienced being around someone that has like a manic episode or something
Yeah.
like that, it's not just like a day.
Yeah.
Like it's and this is why I get pissed when like social media people just like play with like the terms of mental health and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just manic today, or
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little autistic today. Like that stuff bothers me because there's people who really do struggle with this,
Yeah.
and like words matter. Like I don't know what happened with society where words can just mean different things and people just don't go by the definitions of stuff. Like when someone's manic or going through a psychosis, like it's a completely different person. Like that person
Yeah.
is not there.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not their fault. It's being triggered by something that's happening up in our heads that we unfortunately don't fully understand
Yeah.
completely. Because if we did, we could fix it, which we can't. And that's like the difficult thing. So when you're explaining the story, I think it paints an excellent picture for people to like truly understand of like how crazy this can like go. Like
Yeah.
it can just go left like
Yeah.
immediately. And
Yeah.
like obviously you have some trauma and stuff behind that. And like you've talked about in other episodes about drug use and stuff like that. So like there's things that build up and just like real life that you've gone through is going to also pour like on top of that and just make this like concoction of stuff that can lead to an experience like
Yeah.
that where it's tough to get out of that.
Yeah, it seems like suicide's the only way.
Yeah.
Suicide is never option A, B, C, D, E, F. It's Z. You know what I mean? Suicide is option Z. But when you exert all options time and time and time and time again, option Z seems a lot easier, you know? Which, so it kind of leads me to I'm having these overwhelming suicidal ideations. I'm thinking about why I should do it, how I should do it, why I need to do it, and a couple I don't think we even got into this. I got sectioned. I got put up in Worcester at a hospital because I had told my therapist I wanted to commit suicide. So this was years ago, but when I was feeling this way this time, I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't want to tell my therapist because of fear of what would happen. And like I didn't have a plan, but I was being consumed by why I should do it, how I should do it, why I need to do it. And I was just looking for anything. So on lunch break, I went on TikTok and uh, I didn't I didn't have a following really at this point, and I just kind of was like, "Here's what's going on. I can't stop thinking about suicide. Like, somebody please say something that will fix it. Like, I'm desperate. I'm reaching to the internet with my problems because I'm looking for an answer that I can't seem to find. Just anything from anyone that would help me just get through the rest of the day." And it's kind of funny because the stupidest thing I could have done propelled everything. So I go back into work and I'm probably visibly pretty distraught and I'm having a hard time. And I had not been showing up days here or there. Like, you know, somebody I'd worked with that wasn't at work at the time had saw my TikTok and reached out to my bosses and were like, you got to check on this kid. And they pulled me into the office and basically were just like, hey, we saw your video. What can we do? And I just broke down. And I realized I deleted the video and I was like, it was kind of foolish that, I should have just called my therapist. I should have called my doctor. But what that did is made me reach out for more options. So I reached out to my psychiatrist and my therapist, and I explained to them what was going on. And, my therapist and I have a great relationship. My psychiatrist and I have a phenomenal relationship. I've been with them for a long time, and I actually pay out of pocket to see the both of them because, I can't find anybody better, so I suck it up. And they were like, yeah, you are maxed out on uh, a mood stabilizer. You are maxed out on antidepressants. Like you are. I started taking Vyvanse, which is an ADHD medication, uh, because I have a binge eating disorder. When I gave up drinking and drugs, I'm an addict. You know what I mean? I need something, and I still struggle with it. But I went on the Vyvanse to suppress my appetite. But I definitely had some undiagnosed ADHD. I never dove down that path because the bipolar was always the forefront. Like we needed to figure out my mood before I could figure out my attention span. And so I was maxed out on Vyvanse, taking 70 milligrams a day. Couldn't go on any more of that. So she was like, you should not be feeling this way. You should not be thinking these thoughts with the amount of things you have on board that have been successful in the past. Like they just stopped working. Um, so she told me, you, you have clinical depression. Like meds just aren't cutting it anymore. Like, you need to either A, try another medication, or B, we need to start thinking about other options. So there were basically two options on my table. One being TMS therapy, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation. So it's magnets to rewire your brain. The other being ketamine therapy. Both of these therapies very time consuming. Ketamine therapy, my doctor, she was actually the first doctor in Rhode Island to do ketamine therapy, and she's been doing it a long time. It's called Spravato. It's a nasal spray. So you go there, you essentially trip on ketamine. They monitor you, make sure you don't have any bad side effects, this, that, and then you get a ride home and you kind of go on and you do X amount of sessions or however it may be. But because a couple months prior I had just gone into psychosis from psilocybin, she was like, it's probably not the best option for you. She's like, because it could trigger another psychosis. Like that's not what we want. So I was like, okay, TMS. I had no idea what the hell TMS was. I just knew it was an option. So I asked my doctor, I said, can you write me a referral? Because again, I'm at the point where work now knows what's going on. You know, People who saw my video know what's going on. My friends, my family, it's very blatant. I need help in one way or another. Where are we going to go from here? So she wrote me a referral to Butler, and I got a consultation, and they called me and they took all my information, and great, here we go. I don't know much about it, but I know Butler has one of the best TMS clinics in the country. If anybody's going to be able to fix me, it's got to be this. Like, I don't know what else to do at this point. And great, I have my consultation. Not even like 2-3 days later, I get a phone call. Hey, is this Tyler? Yeah, we got to cancel your consultation. We don't accept your insurance. Not, here's some options. Not, you can pay out of pocket. They were like, it's $17,000 out of pocket. Like, shoo, be gone. I was like, you just did my intake 2 days ago. You know where I'm at. And you are just going to give me this information and just good luck. It was just insane. So I reached out on the internet in a much more positive approach. I was like, hey, uh, I need TMS therapy. You know, my insurance isn't going to cover it. It's X amount of dollars. I need it. I don't know what to do. So I figured I would try and go viral because TikTok had a creator program. So if you got 10,000 followers and you met X amount of criteria, you had 100,000 views in the past 30 days, whatever it may be, you you could monetize and you could get paid off of your views. So I was like, this is what I got to do. This is how I'm going to afford to get better. And it just kind of blew up. Um, I had a woman very generously named Nina Poole. She's a creator. She's on TikTok. She does a lot of care products that are like affordable, like skincare products. She's for the people. She's a great creator. Um, she donated me money so I could get TMS. She was like, "Here's TMS money. Get TMS." I mean, I'm still emotional about it now because it's like I didn't see my worth for jack shit. And here is some random stranger. And I mean, just like here, go take care of yourself. Like, Butler was like, be gone. You can't afford it. This stranger from the internet is like, go afford it. It was just, it was crazy. And also, when I got approved for the TMS at Butler, I had a woman reach out to me on Instagram. She saw, me trying to have TMS therapy, and she was like, "Hey, I'm a TMS technician. I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you have." So I'm talking back and forth with her, and I'm asking her all these questions, and then I get denied the TMS, and I make that video, and she goes, "Wait, where are you?" I got Mass insurance. She goes, "Oh my God, I work at a clinic in Mass." And she just like, she pushed and she pushed and she pushed and she pushed. And then I got a consult with them. So now it's like early December. I'm about to be coming up on my 4 years of sobriety, December 5th of 2025. My consult is on the 17th. And right around that fifth date, I was just so low. I knew I had this consult coming up, but I just could not climb out of the hole I was in. And I couldn't show up to work. And I was about to lose another job. Like, now I've got a TMS consult. I have a solution, but I can't get there because I'm not stable. And my work graciously suggested I go on a medical leave, so that I could keep my job. And I went on a medical leave, and I just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And they moved up my appointment, and yeah, I started TMS, um, which kind of brings us to, okay, so I'm starting to get this following. They want to see me get better. And on the same coin, I don't see anything about TMS on the internet. Like, I was just like, there's got to be like more people who show what this is all about, because I didn't know about it out of a hole in the wall until my psychiatrist brought it up to me. And I knew it was an alternative form of therapy, but I had no idea what it entailed. And I was like, I got to document my TMS journey. So it's typically 36 sessions. You go 5 days a week. And my protocol was 38 sessions. And I was like, I'm going to document every single day. I'm going to show what TMS looks like being had. I'm going to show you from day 1 to day 38. So you go through it with me. And over the sessions, I gained followers and support, and there were highs and there were lows, and overall it was a phenomenal experience. Truly, truly life-changing stuff. And I finished on the 16th of March, and I sit here today, and I made a video yesterday uh, about having returning suicidal thoughts, and I had a true bad day. Like before TMS, if I was in a spiral and I was depressed, it was 6, 7 days not getting out of bed, not eating, not showering, shutting everybody out, not responding, not contacting work, just kind of isolating from the world. After TMS, these 6, 7 day episodes turned into 2, 3 hours. Um, but the other day, I had a full bad day. So I'm still navigating life after TMS. Um, I've gotten off medications. I'm truly a new person, but now I'm learning with a new brain essentially. So what TMS does is the way they explained it to me is like your neural pathways, whatever it may be from depression, anxiety, drug abuse, whatever screwed them up, your neural pathways are all like this. And that's how they're supposed to send signals. It's not going to work. So, what TMS does is it stimulates your brain and they map out your brain and they use magnets to test your motor skills. And it's the craziest thing. Like when I first went, the doctor was like, okay, you're going to see your right index finger move. And he'd hit my brain with a magnet. And my finger will go like that. So they truly know where they're targeting in your brain, and what it does is these magnetic pulses cause your neural pathways to reset and they function properly. So for the first time in my life, I felt clear-headed. I felt like my brain was working like better than it ever had. But now here I am a month out and I'm now finding I'm navigating a new brain, you know?
Yeah, and well, again, thank you for like taking
Yeah,
the time
sorry, I
to
know
go
that
in.
was a
No,
lot.
no, I think it's important to like. That's why I don't interrupt when guests go
Yeah.
on the telling the story, especially when you're coming back and diving into something specific like this. I think what's really interesting is when you're talking about the hospital just kind of telling you basically like kind of like fuck off a little bit,
Yeah.
like, and it's I think it's an interesting state of the world where someone is advocate like or what's the word I'm looking for, advocating for themselves and like speaking out like,
Mhm.
hey, I want to die,
Yeah.
like straight up I want to
Yeah.
die, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh well,
Yep.
like oh well,
Yep.
like money,
Yep.
and like that's the focus, and like I think that's shows like the fundamental like flaw in healthcare and where we are as a society. That and this is also like you could point to the internet too of like people talk about, oh, we care about people, we do this, we love
Yep.
everyone, we want to support, no, we don't want people to die, like, but then like people are saying like I want to die and you're
Yeah.
not helping, like,
Yeah.
and instead of like helping and then dealing with that stuff later, like you just let them go because they can't afford something that
Yep.
could change their life or save them essentially. And it's that stuff really bothers me when it comes to mental health or anything medical related. Like it's like we're really gonna turn people away for like life-saving things, and people have to start GoFundMe's and all these like go turn to the internet for
Yep.
help from strangers because the medical system or industry isn't doing what it's supposed to.
Yep.
And it's about money and it's about the
Yep.
people. And we can go on, that's a whole different tangent.
Yep.
But like I think it's important to at least like hit on that. Like there's something wrong. And
Yeah.
I don't think like to me, like this is something that needs to be addressed by like everyone.
Mhm.
Like this is gonna affect everyone in a different form. Like it could be your own relative, it could be you. Like it happens to everybody.
Yep.
Like no matter where you are, one thing in your life you could have a medical issue and it could bankrupt you. You
Yep.
could be in debt for the rest of your life because you chose to get a procedure done to save your life.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like you have to suffer for the rest of your life financially because you wanted to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that makes zero sense, and like stuff like that really pisses me off, and it's like I have people in my own life, my family that have gone through stuff with mental health, and it's like we turn to these institutions for help,
Mhm.
and I would say a lot of them are, and people in the industry want to help. They're good
Yes.
people. And I don't
Yes.
like to think of like people as having bad intentions, but when money is the driver of a lot of these systems, and I understand we live in unfortunately a capitalist society and we're run by that, but like, how does that override helping people?
Yeah.
Like that's just fundamentally wrong, and it's a shame that you had to turn to the internet
Yeah.
for help, and like that stuff just like I don't know, that it really pisses me off because like that could be anybody.
Yeah.
That's any of us, and I understand where people have the mindset of like they kind of might brush this part of the conversation off. It's like, well, that could happen to anyone. It's like people only care when it happens to them,
Mhm.
and I understand the way that the human brain is, the way we look at ourselves, like we focus on ourselves so much, and like I get that, but we preach about helping others and caring about others, but like when push comes to shove, we're so disconnected, and maybe partially because of social media that we don't help each other.
Yeah.
And then other times when you reach out, you get the biggest blessing in the world and you create a community of people that
Mhm.
will support you.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting. It's never, I think I actually saw you post something. I don't know if it was you. I think where it's crazy that people, I think it was a post that you made of
Yeah.
people that, your biggest
Everybody
supporter.
loves a content creator until it's somebody they know.
Exactly. And like how that hit the nail on the head for me. Cause like, I remember when I first launched the podcast, like no one really
Yeah.
cared. And like I could imagine the conversations that were around like, oh, he's starting a podcast, goes
Yeah.
to he moves away for a little bit, comes back, thinks he's different. And
Yep.
it's like it's so interesting the view that we have. And it's somewhat obviously gotta be jealousy and like
Mhm.
some anger to that. But like as someone that's for me has been in content for a little bit, I understand like that it's not always gonna blow up. It's not always gonna go
No,
viral. Like
no,
most of the time it's not.
and I didn't even expect that. I wanted 10,000 followers so I could
You know what's
monetize.
crazy about them? I'm monetized on TikTok as well.
Okay.
It's fucking hard to make money. They make it
It's pennies on the
it's
dollar.
literally nothing. Like
It's insane.
you better be making having millions of views to even make money, and even then it's fucking nothing.
I
Like
had a video that 3 or 4 million views and 3 or 4 million views. 3 or 4 million views, couple $100.
yeah,
Like that's my biggest payday off of those.
it's insane. Like
Off
it used
3
to
to
be better.
4 million
It
views.
used
It's
to be a
insane.
lot better. Like I have 59K on TikTok,
Okay.
and most of that I gained that like during 2020. Like
Yep.
I was posting like
Yep.
breakup, like emotional, sad boy
Yeah,
content.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was leaning into it. I was going through some shit at the time, and my biggest fear was like I don't want to join the creator fund because I always heard you get shadow banned because they don't want to pay you. So as
Yeah.
soon as you get to the creator fund, that they limit your exposure,
Yep.
which they probably do.
Yeah.
Like, because now that I'm in it, it feels like it should like these video. It's all algorithm. It's so random. Like
Yeah.
videos that you post, if I post the same one, maybe I go viral. Like
Yep.
it could be copy paste, same thing. It
Yep.
doesn't matter. It's weird. But like now, it took me a little bit uh, to get back into it because I started posting like podcast clips and whatever, and during Christmas time, actually this past Christmas, I was posting my old VHS like Christmas videos, like nostalgia
Okay.
videos, and they were going like viral. So I was able to get back into the criteria to get into the creator fund. I was like, let me get into the creator fund. And then I saw all the fucking like qualifications for your video to get monetized. Like qualified views have to be obviously over a minute long, which
Yep.
is crazy because if you once you know that and you watch TikToks, watch
A
how many
minute's a
videos
long time.
well, watch how many videos are like a minute and like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, if like just enough to get into the fund.
Yep.
And it's like the crazy part is people have to watch. I think it's at least almost half of that video to get a qualified
Mhm.
view, and it has to be in certain countries. And it's like
Yep.
most people don't watch the full video anyways. Like I could show you my podcast and show you where everything dips off. Like it's just the reality of
Yeah.
content. Like
I get
people
it.
have a small attention span, and you make nothing. So
No.
it's like you think, and this is for people who want to create content. Like YouTube is a different animal, Instagram's a different animal, Facebook's different. I don't know all those platforms
Mhm.
like that, so I can't speak to them. But TikTok, I've been on TikTok. I've been monetized. I've not been monetized. I've worked in like had viral videos and thousands of
Yep.
likes. Like the money is not there unless you're
No.
working with brands and have all this other stuff, and then you get pushed, and like
Yep.
you have to have a backing behind you to start really making true money on that.
Yeah.
So when people chase content, like understand, like
It's hard.
yeah, you really got to put the work with
Yeah.
TikTok Shop and all this other like,
Yep.
and fuck that, I don't want to do all that stuff.
No,
Like,
I actually got my first. So TikTok Shop is constantly different products are
Mhm.
like, we want to collab, we want to it's like a corset for a woman. I'm like, did you even look at my profile? So I always request a free sample. I'm like, if I get one of these freaking corsets, I'm popping that bitch on. But I got my first product shipped to the house the other day. It's not even something I would use.
Mhm.
It's individual ear swabs to clean your pet's ears. So they're individually wrapped, which is great. I like that. It's sterile. But you snap it and it excretes a bunch of liquid into the animal's ear. I don't know if you know this, but putting liquid into an animal's ear is how you create an ear infection. So yes, it's chamomile and this and that, but I don't know if there's a drying agent in it. If there's not a drying agent in it and the ear is going to stay wet, it is going to create an infection. So I'm not even going to use the product. And I got it on my front door and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I was going to make, I mean, if I too have about 50 something thousand on TikTok. So let's say, 50 people out of the people who see it buy the product. I'm only getting like 85 cents for each. You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I going to put my reputation on the line for a product where I'm going to make $42?
And like
It's insane.
I think it's. I mean, shout out to was Nina Poole, correct?
Nina Pool,
Nina
yep.
Poole. Shout out to her for donating that, because just think if something like that doesn't happen and you're hoping that the creator fund can
Yeah.
help you fund that,
Yep.
like, and then you get to the reality of like, this is what the creator fund is,
Yeah.
like this is what's supposed to be monetization, like millions of views and you get like basically
Yeah.
nothing for
Yeah.
it, like, and they probably don't even tell you you're gonna get taxed on that too at the
Yep.
end of the year, like, and I don't know how people on the internet figure that stuff out, like not gonna go into that, but like you're backed into a corner,
Yeah.
like financially, so it ties back to the whole medical system. It's like the fact that we have to go these alternative routes to try to figure out a way just to fix ourselves, to give us the will to live,
Yeah.
is mind blowing, and it's extremely sad that that's what
Yeah.
we've come to, and especially with the like the whole mental health industry, like over the last several years, and like obviously me and you were talking off podcast about some stuff, and like I've changed my tune on the way that I feel about things
Mhm.
after seeing what I've seen, being involved in my own therapy experiences. Like, I think therapy's great. I think people should go to therapy. I always encourage going to see professionals. I think
Yep.
it's awesome. What I'm afraid of what we're doing is almost like it's like an over prescription, not in cases of like you're diagnosed like bipolar,
Yeah, of
like
course,
you
of
like
course.
take care of that stuff.
But yeah, just throwing I mean, they started throwing medications at me when I was 12 years old.
Yeah. We're starting people so young, and like this
And I
over
was sexually abused.
Yeah.
But maybe I wasn't even what they were doing. I just
maybe you
know?
didn't need medication.
Yeah.
Maybe you needed someone to actually just talk to about something
Yeah.
that was completely traumatic and should have never happened to you. Like
Yes.
that, and like like I was telling you, I had a guest recently talk about their OCD and like immediately throw on medication instead of like breaking down some of their habits and working through stuff.
Yeah.
Immediately, we need to jump on medication at a young age, which rewires the brain as you're going through puberty,
Yeah.
which is insane.
The most important part of your forming your brain
Yeah.
to what it's going to be when you're an adult.
It's like we want to always put like a band-aid or look for the quick solution to stuff, and like stuff when you go through these traumatic stuff and these traumatic life events, like it's going to take a long time to work through that
Yeah.
stuff. Like it might have been a quick traumatic experience, but it's going to take a extremely long time, if possibly forever,
Yeah.
to get over something like that, if you even get over it.
Yeah.
Which that is a difficult conversation that not everyone's prepared to have when they go through these things. Is like when you enter the space of mental health and struggles and depression and anxiety, like this is like lifelong stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and it's not something to be ashamed of either.
Mhm.
And I think the stigma of talking about it has definitely like lessened, and people can talk about it a little bit more openly. When you start talking, and I remember I talked about this with a guest in the past, is when you turn this from mental health and like depression and it's like all fun and like, oh, it's just mental health, we care about it, and then you look at like suicide,
Yeah.
mania,
Yep.
bipolar, schizophrenia.
Yep.
People are like, I'm out. I
Yep.
don't want to talk about this stuff because
Yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's like
It's uncomfortable.
this is the real mental health, not to like neglect like the beginning stuff and like depression's real and anxiety, all that stuff, but like the stuff that people don't want to acknowledge, that's the stuff we need to acknowledge in our society, because how many people could be out there like not getting help,
Mhm.
going through manic episodes or on a schizophrenic like break, and
Yep.
like you just think they're acting fucking weird and crazy, but they're having an episode.
Yeah.
And the way society is, that's we immediately, oh, that's the person just weird and crazy.
Yep.
And obviously, I get it's like we can't read every book. You like you judge a book by its cover, and like I get
Exactly.
that part. But like, if we took a second to actually understand this stuff, and this is where that privilege comes back into play, of breaking down that privilege and being more aware of these
Yep.
situations, I think it would go a long way in society of being more empathetic towards each other and
Yep.
understanding and supporting. And we need community. Like I think people yearn for community, honestly,
Mhm.
these days. And like when I saw your stuff on social media, I was extremely like happy for you,
Thank you.
especially after like our podcast and getting to know you a little bit more personally on that episode. Because like I knew of you back in high school, and I
Yeah,
didn't really know you.
the crazy kid.
Yeah,
Quite
like,
literally.
that's all I
Was
knew.
bipolar,
Yeah,
and
and
people just said he's the crazy kid.
yeah, and that's all I knew. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
you until I actually got to sit down with you and talk to you and like hear what you had gone through. And obviously now we're getting a more full picture on this
Yeah.
episode, and like obviously stuff we talk off air that's a little different, but like seeing the growth as a person and like the real honest organic struggles that you're going through and sharing that, like the video yesterday, like it didn't change how I was going to interview today.
Yeah.
Like as someone that has seen some dark stuff of mental health in my own personal family life, like I can see where you're coming from. And like especially with what you're documenting this is real mental illness. This
Yeah.
is what you're going through.
Yeah.
And people might jump to the conclusion of like, oh my God, like panic, we need to reach out, we need to save him. Like you mentioned, like this is part of it. You're learning like a new brain and like how to process this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just lifelong stuff. Like this
I'm just navigating it in real time in hopes that my struggle will be your key to survival. You know?
yeah, and like I never heard of TMS before
Yeah.
you mentioned it.
No.
Like I never even knew that was a thing. I've heard of like shock in the brain and stuff like that, and like kind of more like older techniques and stuff like that, but I've never heard of that. So when I heard you like kind of mention this, it was like, why isn't this like talked about? Like this should be more advocated for. Like people should know about this. So then when you started like actually documenting your sessions, I thought that was like super beneficial for people to see, because it doesn't exist.
No.
Because like obviously some people might be afraid to share that because of like how sensitive like mental health
Of
is.
course.
So like seeing someone authentically doing that, it was like refreshing in a
Yeah.
weird way. Like it almost it's like freeing. Like
It's real.
yeah.
It's real. It's the truth. That
like you don't have to pretend to be a character on the internet or anything like that. And like I like that you've also been posting like your art and music as well, because we talked about
Appreciate
that
that,
on
yeah.
your last podcast of like that being your passion and like
Yeah.
leaning into the arts and like and obviously like doing the memes and stuff. Like I always
Yeah.
loved your memes. I've seen like it's crazy. My fiance has sent me something from you, and I was like, why is she sending me like his like Instagram
and she
stuff? And
didn't
it was
realize.
yeah, it was one of your memes. And I was like, and if I look back, I'd probably remember, because I just remember, I know what your Instagram handle is, and I was like what is going on? Because like I like would show her your videos of like GMS stuff, because like look at this is so cool. Because like obviously my own personal family stuff, and like just getting that, and it was like so funny. It was like it's crazy, like like how viral like not only like your TMS stuff goes, but like your memes and like
It's
I think people overlook or are not paying attention to how awesome of a person you actually are, and
Appreciate
and
that.
celebrating. Which I get it, the mental health stuff, which is important, and
yeah.
celebrating. That's why like the viral stuff has come, is like
Yeah.
you sharing your story. But now that you've gone through TMS, I hope people can start looking at you as a person
Yeah.
and not so much as like this TMS creator.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more to Tyler than
Yeah.
just your journey through TMS. And I think that's like the thing I hope people start to really get to see with the music and like your personality
Yeah.
and you're fucking hilarious and like
Appreciate that,
that's
man.
the stuff that I really enjoy is that you're
Yeah.
really getting to like show that and
Yeah,
highlight that.
show the good parts of me.
How has that been now looking at it in the seat of trying to handle this new community on social media?
It's kind of crazy. I went to the dispensary after work, and the guy cashing me out like looked at me, and he goes, "Yo, I don't want to be weird." I go, "What's good?" He goes, "You on TikTok?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." And like when I went to the Red Sox game, I have a girl tap on my shoulder. "Are you good dog, Peter?" And I was like, "Good dog, Petter." I was like, but like, it's crazy. I don't like. I'm just a normal dude. Like, I'm not putting on a front for the internet. I'm just a normal guy. I'm just your average guy. So for people to recognize me, what gets me even more is the people. eh, It's this is like a whole side of being in the mental health space that I don't show, but the messages from people. The I had one the other day. Woman, fiance, boyfriend. I'm not sure exactly what he was to her, but besides the point, he committed suicide like 2 weeks ago. He was bipolar. She came across my videos and was just like, "Yeah, I see you. Like here's my circumstances." What the hell am I supposed to say? Or people that like reach out and they're like, "My boyfriend committed suicide. I wish I could have sent him videos. I wish he could have kept fighting." Like, what am I? I'm nothing special. You know what I mean? Like, but the fact that I'm having this profound impact on people, the people who say, "I'm low and I wasn't going to keep pushing and I was done." And then your video popped up on my feed. And I want you to know I'm going to call my therapist. Like, I did, you know, it's, uh, it's difficult. And like, I talk about a lot of this with my therapist because I'm not going to air out people's business. It's they're messaging me in total confidence, but it's hard, because like I'm also going through shit. So it's like a lot of times I can't even look. And like that's another thing my therapist and I talk about. I can't let like I'm an addict. I need a dopamine hit. I can't allow social media to be my dopamine hit. So like I made it a point that when I was in TMS, if I woke up in the morning, I would not look at social media before going to TMS. I would go to TMS first because I never wanted people's words of encouragement to be the reason I got up and went. Like I wanted to get up and go on my own. Some days I didn't make it there on my own, and that's totally fine. But I know that it wasn't because social media, because people were like, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You're doing great. This, that." Like none of that. I mean, I'm appreciative for all of it for sure. Like a lot of times when I'm in a really bad spot, I get a random message from someone that's like, "Hey, I hope you're having a good day. Like, your video really resonated with me today." And I'm just like, it's nice to get stuff like that sometimes, but there's two sides to it.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important side to hit of social media. Like when I was doing completely different style of content, but like I was really talking about relationships and
Mhm.
struggling with breakups and talking stage and situationships, all this bullshit. I got so many messages of from people like expressing that they felt similar to me and
Yeah.
that they could relate to me. And when I started making those videos, it was because I didn't know where to go with my emotions.
Mhm.
The situation that I was in at that time, like I couldn't go to them with how I
Yeah.
felt. I felt pushed away and like almost like emotionally manipulated through a situation. And I just started posting because I didn't know what else to do. And I eventually went to therapy and like worked on that
Mhm.
of like, even if I feel like posting and doing it, looking back on it, I can acknowledge like it's not the right thing to do. I shouldn't
Yeah.
just do that because like I was doing it, one, to express myself, two, it was becoming a dopamine hit, and I knew that other person was going to watch that video, and I'm intentionally trying to also make them sad
Yeah.
because they know what I'm saying is happening in our situation, but the internet doesn't have the context. They just relate to the general statement because like the statement's real, it's how I feel,
Yeah.
but I was using social media to communicate with someone else basically. And I gained a following through that. And then people related to my content. So it led me down several years of creating content around my dating experiences, which became impacted by my TikToks. And that led me to eventually like a place where I had to be like, I can't form a healthy relationship if I'm making sad
Yeah.
breakup TikToks. And then I shit you not, the day that I stopped, like matched with my fiance, and it's been the best relationship I've ever been in. Like
You gotta get
it's
back in that sad
it's
TikTok boy space.
I dominate. I had the
I know. I saw some. I think you've popped up on my page.
bro. I dominated that space, bro. Like I back in 2020, like there was a span where it was like 20K in like not even like a month. Like it was
Yeah.
I was going like every video I posted was going insane,
Yeah.
and like it went to my head a little bit because
Yeah.
like this is the part where it's difficult to manage because like you have people around you saying you shouldn't do that. Be careful posting all that stuff. Like it's not helpful.
Yeah.
And it's like you guys are just jealous.
Yeah.
You want me to stop because you wish this was your page.
Yeah.
And like I think pieces of that are all true. I think the truth always lies somewhere in the middle of it all. And I think I'm a good creator.
Mhm. I
I think
agree.
my TikToks were how I felt for real, but I also think it was harmful to some other people, and it probably was stuff that I shouldn't always share.
Yeah.
And like that was when I started to like reflect on my content of like I don't want to be known as like a sad TikTok boy,
Yeah.
like making relationship content.
Especially when there's ill intent.
Yeah,
You
like
know.
it's geared towards like making someone else like feel bad for the way that they made me feel.
Yeah.
And like that's not fair to them. Like
Yeah.
that was never fair to them.
Yeah.
No matter how bad they might have made me feel, I'm responsible for my own feelings and posting that in like a targeted way. That's not fair.
But that doesn't mean that what you did is wrong.
Yeah.
Because your feelings are also valid
Yeah.
and you're able to deal with it how you need to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's exactly how my therapist would say. It was like because I'd be like there'd be times where I wouldn't feel bad. Like I would post or do whatever and I'll be like, I posted and I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like you're entitled to feel that.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to feel bad for doing something that you know you probably shouldn't do. Like
Yeah.
just understand like is this I remember she always say, is this aligned with the person you want to be? And I'll be like, no.
All about
No.
getting views, baby.
Yeah. Like you're not going viral. Come on, therapist. Like you ain't going viral. And it's like it gets to that space though of like I would get these messages though of people like really like emptying like the treasure chest to me of
Yeah.
like what they've gone through and how like they feel seen because I talked about how I felt in a situation and like they really resonated with the video and I'm like I can't I can't deal with this. Like I'm also a struggling person with
Yeah.
like my own emotions.
Yeah.
Like it's like it makes you understand why therapists need therapists.
Yeah.
Like it's like people are unloading on you because they feel like they can trust you, but it's also like I can't deal with all that. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I signed up for either. And like I think in a space like you that makes a lot of sense in what your therapist was telling you of like doing it for you.
Yeah.
Like not allowing the positive encouragement to to guide you to go do it and push you to do it because
Exactly.
that creates a more confident self where it's really strictly driven by you. And I think you also did a great job of like posting and sharing at the same time and like navigating that fine line of like doing it for you, but also sharing it and encouraging others to look at all their options.
Yeah.
Because I think, like we talked about earlier, not everyone knows about this stuff.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like you're one of the first creators to really dive into this space and like share it openly. And like, cause like there might be other TikToks out there, people talking about TMS, but in the way that you do it and how you actually felt and like the deep, dark parts of what
Yeah.
you feel, no one does that.
Yeah, people are just showing the positives.
Yeah, you get a lot of
Nobody's gonna show their bad days.
yeah, you get a lot of fake. I don't want to say completely fake, but like fake tears almost, fake
Yeah.
sadness, and like that clouds a lot of stuff on social media. And then every once in a while, you can tell when someone's really being genuine with like their emotions. And like even when I saw like your initial TikToks and like obviously they were on Instagram and stuff too, like you could feel the actual pain. And like that is like something I hope that people can recognize in creators when someone's doing crocodile tears on the internet
Yeah.
versus someone who's truly genuinely struggling
Yeah.
that feels that they have nowhere else to go and they are reaching for someone to grab their hand.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that people reach back
Yeah.
and tried to grab you and lift you up. And I think, how do I word it? I think having the platform that you do now is so encouraging and like something that should be so proud of. But at the same time, like I think it's so dope that you can just be you and not let that like take over because like it easily could just take over and you be a creator and like you just run with this and like you do whatever because like when you have it's scary what the dopamine of social media can do to you when you get the views and like they're constant and then it's positive feedback. Like people talk about the negative feedback and how it can be like harmful and stuff. I like the way I was gonna say I do the same thing.
Second they say so I have a sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you're good.
I have a video right now. I posted, people do that trend. They're like, if I wake up with 5,000 followers, I'll do whatever the top comment says. So I did one that said, if I get to 100,000 followers, I'll get a tattoo of whatever the top comment says. And I got people commenting, get a dick, get a swat stick on your forehead. But they don't follow me. So they just want to leave their comment. So I pinned a comment in the comment section today. I said, hey, if you plan on leaving a little cool, witty comment, but you're not following, you're getting blocked. I just been blocking everyone. You know what I mean? Because I just don't have time for it.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the greatest features that social media has. Is
love it.
Block anytime, any video that I ever create, whether it's a podcast, a regular TikTok, whatever. If someone comments something negative, and this shout out to my therapist because like old me would have probably tried to snap back at them and say something witty. Block, gone. Like. Or sometimes my favorite thing to do is reply to the comment, then block them so they get the notification that you replied, but it's gone.
I'll message them. I'll send a message because they can still see the message, but it says user not found. So I'll send them a message and then block them.
And then I love that also Instagram will block other accounts that they have as well. Because like it's like, nope, you can't watch. Like you want to be funny. You're like, all right, well, watch this from the Shadow Realm. You're gone. Bye.
My favorite thing is you leave a comment. You think you absolutely ate. Like, look at this grown man crying for attention. Your comment's only been up for 2 minutes. Nobody's seen it. Block. You can never, ever, ever for the rest of your life see any of my content.
Oh, even like I've had.
That's what your little funny comment got.
It's like if I see. I have another friend that's been on the podcast. He hasn't been on in a while, but he's been posting about like getting fit and like just doing like eating healthy and all this other stuff and like just posting his daily life. And I saw that he got a negative comment. I tried to report it. Like, if I see negative comments on people that like, especially in my podcast network, like I try to report the comments. They don't do shit, but like I've dealt with it in like TikTok and stuff. Like I've cried on TikTok. I've made videos about my stuff, and there's always those people, grown man, by the way, like all that bullshit. It's like if you actually can comprehend emotions exist and no matter who you are, then like this is real stuff. Like you're allowed to express who you are and feel things. Like I don't know who fucking raised you, but you can just go to the other side of the internet where the losers are at. Cause like over here we're living real life and
Yep.
that type of stuff. Like no time for it. No time for that negative stuff. And like yeah, it makes you feel something that's not great, but that's why you could just block and
Well,
gone.
so in regards to the message and then the block, one of my favorite things to do is a lot of people are stupid and they put their full name on their page. And
It's easy to find stuff.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a thing. So my favorite thing to do is find where they work and then message them and be like, I had some guy from like Newport Boatyard. He commented on one of my videos or something. And I was like, I'm sure HR at Newport Boatyard would love to hear you're bullying people on the internet. Block. So then he's going to be like, oh my God, is this guy going to reach out to my work? I'm living rent free in his head for the next 2 weeks and he can never see me ever again.
Yeah, people are so bold as if it's like not the easiest thing to find out everything
Digital
online.
footprint.
Like it's the blessing and the curse of the internet. Like we have all this access to like information, but like literally everything is out there on the
Yeah.
internet. So like you could figure out who people are pretty fucking quickly if you have like like sense of like brain power and how
Yeah.
to know how to use social media. It's pretty damn easy and it's like crazy, but we are getting towards like the back end of the conversation, so I want to start tying some bows
Yeah.
on some stuff. And like, what would you suggest for people? And this is going to be for the people that are truly actually like struggling with like the serious like crippling depression, like bipolar, like schizophrenia. What avenues would you suggest that have worked for you
Hmm.
as a starting place to kind of get help besides like the stereotypical like go see the psychiatrist or like therapist? Like what things do you think have worked for you that might be beneficial for some other people?
Stereotypical. You need a psychiatrist. You need a therapist. You need a psychiatrist and therapist who are going to listen to you, who are going to let you advocate for yourself. That is the biggest. My psychiatrist, when I finished TMS, I stopped taking Xanax, and she said, okay, here are your meds. What do you want to do? What do you want to try? You've tried this before and you didn't like it. Do you want to try that again? You're fine to, but if you don't want to, I understand why. Like, you need to be able to advocate for yourself, but have people that are going to listen. Because if you just go see a psychiatrist and they see you for 3 minutes and they say, I'm up in this, I'm up in this, I'm taking you off this, I'm putting you on this. That's, like you said, that's just putting a blindfold on and throwing darts at a wall and hoping something sticks. Like and if your providers don't listen to you, go get a new provider. Go on the back of your insurance card and call the number. 90% of insurance cards say mental health services on the back of them. And you can contact that number and they will point you in the direction of where you need to get someone. The larger point is you need to be vulnerable. Nobody can help you if they don't know what they're helping. So if you're suicidal, but you haven't told anyone you're suicidal, nobody's going to know you're suicidal. When you're having a bad day and shit crashes down, people don't know how to help you. If you are feeling ways or something makes you uncomfortable, the biggest thing I've learned through all of this is not only do you need to advocate for yourself, but the second you stop trying for yourself, nobody is sitting there kicking you in the butt going, come on, keep trying, keep trying. You have to, that's why I'm still trying tattooed on my cheeks because no matter what, I'm still trying. And as long as you're vulnerable and you're honest, true, authentic self, I don't think there's something I can tell you like you need to eat better, you need to exercise more, you need to see a psychiatrist, therapist, you need to do this, you need to do cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical. But you just need to advocate for yourself for what you need. And until you're comfortable being vulnerable about what you need, you're never going to get the help you need.
Boom. I'm not even gonna dive into like a ending question for the podcast because I think that ties the bow on it so perfectly. Because like, if you're not advocating for yourself, no one will.
No.
That doesn't matter if it's your career, your education, your mental health, your relationships. If you can't stand up for yourself and tell people what you need,
Mhm.
no one's gonna do it for you, man. Like, doesn't matter. Like, if I've learned one thing in content creation, nobody cares.
Work
Nobody
harder.
cares. And it sucks that nobody cares, but it's also freeing at the same time because it really is all on you. It sucks, but it's also good because you're the one that can save the day. You get to be your own hero. That's the coolest thing. Like,
Yeah.
you get to be the one that gets to save you. And then once you start saving you, people will rally behind you. Like, if you could see anything from what you post on social media, you posted one of your lowest moments on social media, you were vulnerable, you were honest. What happened? People rally behind you.
Yeah.
People relate to honesty, people relate to authenticity. And if you're willing to share that, and especially something like that, where it's very taboo, people do not want to talk about it because we talked about all the things that can happen when you say those words. You did, and it puts you in a crazy better position in life to build on and to move forward, and it gave you some extra tools in your toolbox to work
Yeah.
with. And I think that's a great example of like when you can advocate for yourself even at your lowest, things can work for you.
Yeah.
But it starts with you.
Yep.
And I think that's like the place I want to start tying this and bringing this home. And Tyler, I think this has been such an amazing conversation. And like,
Yeah.
obviously, I got to see you in 2023. Now we're in 2026, getting to see a completely different version and like hear your growth as a person, not only through the stuff you've gone through with your mental health, but your stuff on social media, within your own career. And like, I am really excited to keep seeing you build your platform of Tyler and seeing you share that stuff. Cause like, I really do appreciate what you create and how honestly you create that. As
Thank you.
someone that has a podcast where I really lean into mental health stuff, like someone like yourself is the type of person I'm always looking to have on the podcast. And I just really appreciate you for coming
Yeah.
on this.
Well, I really appreciate you having me, and we've had just normal, like even before the podcast, like it's just genuine conversation. It's nice,
Yeah,
you know.
I try to keep that as like the formula. And that's why I've been able to do this for almost, I think I'm on year 7 of this, I said. And like it's never about the content. Like the cameras are all here. It's great. It's cool. I'll make the clips, whatever. But it's the conversations with the people that matter the most. Like we get to sit here for a few hours, put down our phones, and just talk like real life stuff. Like I've told you stuff about my personal life. You've told me stuff about your personal life, and we we just share it. And like
Yeah.
in the hopes that it can help someone and inspire them to go chase what they need to chase and do what they need to do. And I think there needs to just be more spaces like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just more positivity, more mental health, and I think that's always the key. And I look forward to future conversations with you and
Too, man.
keep seeing where you're going with your career and your content and just you as a person. I'm rooting for you, and I'm glad that I get to call you a friend and share this platform with you. So
Likewise, man.
appreciate you. If you want to look into this camera, plug where the people can find you.
Good dog petter. We're getting better. And shout out neurobehavioral health in Walpole, Savannah, and Ashley. You're in Mass. You need TMS. You go to them.
Perfect. And it's not Peter, guys. It's
not
Petter.
Peter. Good dog petter. Don't you miss a single letter.
Perfect. So, for you guys, if you guys like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with the grandma. Check it out, thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch your podcast, go on YouTube, search The Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll, and it'll pop up for you. If you want to be a guest or return as a guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at The Carroll Connection. We'll set that up, as well as plugging the 5 Pillars of Creating Meaningful Life, only available on Amazon. And if you like the book and you really, really want to support me, submit the review on Amazon. It goes a long way in the algorithm. So, till next time, guys. Peace.